There we go.
Look at some more, Rick.
Yes, we have a little reverb here, so just bear with me, yes?
Yep.
I want to tell you all. One of the two mics. Sorry, folks. You know how this goes. It won't let me completely mute myself. There goes nothing. Okay. There. Hopefully they can still hear us and they can see what is going on here.
Okay. So the first interesting person in my collection is Alexander Hamilton Stevens, who was the Vice President of the Confederate States of America from 1861 to 1864. And this photo is a negative from the Matthew Brady studio in New York, and it's signed by Stevens. For those who saw the movie Lincoln, the assertion was that he snuck into Washington, D.C. in early April, met with Lincoln, and they resolved the issues and agreed to come to a peace agreement. And then, of course, he took that back. And, you know, on April, I guess, 8th or 9th, the Confederate Army surrendered at Appomattox. So Stevens had a major role in bringing the war to an end. You know, if the war went the other way, then he might have been, you know, president of the such and such at some point in his life, but
yeah.
it didn't happen. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a tough photograph to get. But.
So just as an addition, I'm a photo teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Brady is one of the original Civil War photographers, and he took all these amazing photographs of all these different people, and then ended up not owning the rights to his negatives and dying penniless and poor.
On a more modern twist, this is Bob Carey, who was a former governor of Nebraska and a United States senator. He was Lieutenant Carey, who won the Medal of Honor in the Navy for his action as a Navy SEAL in Vietnam.
Nice. And what year?
Well, he probably, I would say,
if he was in Vietnam.
Late 60s.
Okay.
Or very early 70s.
So he was probably governor after.
Yeah.
All right, terrific.
Yep.
All right, hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
Still working on those technical problems. I apologize for this. I'll be right there. All right. See, now this video is working. Which one? All right, make your text question.
Are you good?
Okay. We might be hearing some feedback, and I apologize if you are. All right. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully everybody can see us. I really do apologize. We were having some technical difficulties. Okay. So I'm just going to spin around so you can see Don and know who he is. Hold on one sec. Don't get sick. So this is Don Dileo. Don, thank you so much for being here and your patience this evening. Anybody who's seen any of our last recent broadcasts know how this goes. So
So, did you think you got first two on there?
I don't know. Let's just take a quick peek again,
Yeah.
just to make sure. Okay, so Alexander Hamilton Stevens was our first one.
And Stephen, of course, was the Vice President of the Confederate States of America. And this is a photo from the negative from the Matthew Brady studio in New York. And it's signed by Stephen. Stevens apparently snuck into Washington a few days before the war ended and negotiated a peace settlement with President Lincoln. That's the story. If you watch the movie Lincoln, says exactly that the cabinet heard rumors that Stevens was in town and he was meeting with the president. So, the Confederate States of America won the war, it would be blah, 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 blah of something. And of course, he would probably eventually have been president.
Yeah.
But that's the way history goes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience, all.
Or,
All right. So this is our next guy.
right. On a more modern tilt, there's Bob Kerrey, former governor of Nebraska and United States senator, who won the Medal of Honor in Vietnam as a Navy SEAL. I believe that was 1970, 71, before the end of the war. But he served honorably, and I don't know what he's doing now, but I know he's alive.
Awesome.
The next one is Rutherford B. Hayes, who was the President of the United States from 1877 to 1881. Most people don't know that he was a brigadier general in the United States Army, and he was wounded several times, I believe. And he signed the compliments of R.B. Hayes, and a lot of things that he signed used initials rather than its full name. So you see a lot of Hayes signatures with RB Hayes.
So I'm glad that you brought that up,
Mhm.
standing on, because you and I talked a little bit about forgery, and I just want to touch on that because that for me it's sort of a curiosity question more than anything. But do you see a lot?
Well, in the 1920s, there was a guy who, the treasury department finally hung on. He was so good at duplicating Abraham Lincoln's signature that even the experts could tell the difference. So, I never bought anything that was signed by Lincoln.
More is it precaution?
Mostly because of the money, but you really have to have a certified autograph for Lincoln before I would purchase it.
Right.
But my autographs, there's people wouldn't go around, for instance, forwarding to Teresa Garfield, right? Because
Right.
people in the whole country know who he was, so there would be no market for it.
There's no
Yeah.
Lucia Garfield fan club? Sorry, Miss Garfield.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, did the items come before the research, or does the research come before the items?
Well, fortunately, a lot of the research, who's ever solved it, it's already done the research. So the buyer can look at it. There's explanation, the detail, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the more famous stuff, if you're a historian or you like history, you would know most of the facts about that person. And of course, today with Google and Wikipedia, get some great information. Matter of fact, these photos I get right on the
Or Library of Congress.
website of the I guess, museum. Anyway,
Oh, yes.
and you can go online. And,
Yes.
so I run these photos at real forward.
Yes. So the Library of Congress has an amazing collection of images that are free, as with Wikipedia, the same thing. Everything that they use is with permission.
Library of Congress.
Yes. Yeah.
So now we have a famous New Jersey.
So I have another question. You mentioned that you belong to an organization.
Yeah. National Association of Photograph Collectors.
Okay. Are there a lot of associations like that?
Yeah, I know the exact membership. Of course, the bigger field is people who find trade are usually members.
Okay. So most of the people that are there are interested, like yourself, research,
Serving history.
Okay. And is there camaraderie in those types of groups? It's not like you're all, you are sort of competing against.
Right.
Yes. Right.
Maybe see somebody every 5 years.
Do they have those types of events where large, like dealers come together?
There was a big one called Atlantic City years ago. They did one football trade.
In Atlantic City, New Jersey?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not only autograph, but anything. Collect anything.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, this is Robert Cleveland, versus the 22nd, 24th president from New Jersey. And you'll see that his autograph is on an executive mansion, Washington, D.C. card.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it wasn't called the White House. It's called the executive mansion. So, yeah. And so what makes that even more credible that it's real is the fact that it's on that card. Because those cards are only made for the executive mansion. And somebody requests your autograph, so get the card out. And the president will sign it, so that's a good one.
Awesome. So, who was President Clinton?
1884.
Who was in between his?
Harrison.
Oh.
Benjamin Harrison.
Okay.
So, Cleveland Harrison. This is a famous Civil War admiral, David D. Ford. who commanded a mortar fleet under Admiral Farragut. And I like this caption, that he aided in the reduction of Pittsburgh. In other words, they bombed it to the ground.
The reduction of it. That's really-
Battle.
Right, that's the actual way to write that.
He grabbed stuff there, but he, it was a big victory. And Florida, of course, was, the admirals who commanded a mortar fleet there. What that count down. So, very collectible,
Nice.
one star.
Okay. Now, I know you told me that you like to do a lot of your own framing,
The old,
your own matting and framing.
oh yeah, do my own landing and planning. Look at the back better. I get the autograph, get the picture offline.
Mm-hmm.
And then, on Wikipedia, and see what I can say about this person in a short.
Some valuable information.
Right? Because you can say a lot about that.
Yes.
People. Now, this is a very interesting guy here. Wahoo. He was the United States Senator, Secretary of State, Secretary of War, Nobel Peace Prize winner, Ambassador to Russia, and really the most distinguished American. He served in the administration of Teddy Roosevelt, and they were very close friends. And he had a lot to say about policy in the United States. But, of course, most people don't know who he is. But if you look at the Honor's title, yeah, look back there.
What do you believe critics that we don't get much of this information?
I've been in school. You wouldn't do any independent research on this. I guess maybe why. But it's not uncommon during this period of, let's say, the 1850s to 1900s, that elected officials served in many different positions in their career. They were mayors, and they became state senators, and members of the House of Representatives, then senators, right? And then the cabinet, and then ran for president. So we go through history where a lot of these people who didn't win, you'll see, they had quite a bit of experience in a young country,
Right.
Probably very close to the
Yeah.
family.
Oh, they all knew each other.
Right. And that,
And Davy Crockett was part of that.
well, and that process still has the same roots today. Like a lot, like Bill Clinton was a former governor, made his way
There
into
are a
that
number of people.
gig, and Barack Obama, same way. Just Congress.
It's such a competitive state. It's easy to, move up from the state senate to the United States Senate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once they get there, they're regardless. But yeah, I think it was a guy that was really distinguished.
So,
And then these small, there's a vice president,
Oh.
Thomas Marshall, was governor of Indiana and vice president in the Wilson administration.
oh,
And he served for 8 years. So there's another example of, I see people forging that stick.
Right. So which ones, I know we haven't looked at all of them, but
Hmm.
you mentioned you have some favorites.
But
Okay,
actually, they're around the corner.
Oh, they're in the window? Okay, we'll save them for last then.
Okay, but some of my favorites on this wall
Okay.
are the ones we looked at. Probably the first.
Oh, our first lady and,
Grover Cleveland.
oh, of course, yep, Cleveland.
Now, this,
Are they your favorites because you learned about them early on, or you learned something new about them as you studied?
they were really synthesis markets. Once you become president, good or bad, it's
Right.
But the reason I include this one is this goes back to the Fillmore and Pierce administration. So you're talking the 1850s, and I had her own some Revolutionary War signatures. But Lynn Boyd, who was the Speaker of the House, I had a huge collection of speakers of the House, probably from 1830 to 1940, 110 years. Probably had more.
Does it help? Like if, I know you, of course, purchase and sell them, if you had like the Speaker of the House for a 20-year period, like every single one, would that add value to the fact that you had all of them? You know, like the complete set? I know that's not really
Well,
the right term, but
yeah, that's other collectors specialize in that, and they have each of them.
right.
You know, they might buy them individually, or just try to collect them. Coin collectors are the same way.
Okay,
They try to get the whole series.
right. Yeah, that's what it made me think of because when I was a kid, my grandmother would buy us like first minted coins.
Yeah, the point dealer.
Oh, you are? And she would always say, save them all, save them all. So you have the whole set. Like it was such a big deal to have the whole set. So,
And of course, you know, a woman like Richard Spark,
right.
you know, not a ton of
Yeah, and she was, no, I looked her up. Would you check my notes?
and her husband died one way 2 years. You know, it was
I remember I noticed you had, several that had history here in New Jersey.
No, I just peeked that. Yeah, there were a couple that you mentioned, and they might be the ones that are in the other cabinet. That kind of caught my eye. This
So
gentleman,
how far would you travel to, acquire these?
you know, you really don't have to do that. Philadelphia's got quite a collection of stuff, the places there nationally known. So if you want to look at some documents, maps, autographs, so go to Philadelphia, which I do. Yeah. Well, you know, with the internet today, everybody,
Absolutely.
so, what do you do professionally? Like, or, well,
what did I do?
yes, what did you do?
I'm an international union representative,
Oh,
and I represented the largest union in the country
okay.
in the political action department.
Oh,
So over the years, I worked presidential campaigns. First campaign I worked in, but I, was only a kid, was John F. Kennedy came to Trenton in 1960. Saw him as a memorial.
nice.
And so he had that literature stuff. But when I went with the union, I worked in maybe 30 different states, presidential campaigns, governor's races, senate races, mayor. Worked in places like Elko, Nevada, Kentucky, Arkansas.
So, did you have a chance to collect any signatures firsthand?
Yes, I did. I got one from Joe Biden.
Nice.
Nice one. We were in the gym one day for chatting, and I said, my wife's a big fan of yours. He said, oh, he is? I said, yeah. And he was a senator. This was the Hillary Clinton campaign. He was going to make a speech for her. So I was assigned to him for the day. And he said, what's her name? I told him. He said, give me your business card. I gave him my card. He turned it over. He said, to my wife, right? Thanks for asking, Joe Biden. So that's framed him at it.
Awesome.
But I got a nice autograph of Bill and Hillary Clinton on a poster that she signed and that he signed.
Awesome.
I met them many times, actually.
Oh, very good.
I drove for him when he was governor of Arkansas, when he came to Princeton for national governors.
Oh, right.
They did something at the winery. And back to Newark Airport. And when I was in Texarkana, I stopped at his home in Hope, Arkansas. There's a house.
Oh, no kidding.
The house, that spot, but it wasn't that.
It's awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of people, John Kerry, George H.W., Jimmy Carter.
Nice. And it was during that time you were collecting, yes?
No,
No, not during that time.
Okay. Did that pique your interest to begin collecting?
well, it did hurt. Starting off with 4 or 5 presidents.
Right.
And I had an offer on the poster, campaign poster.
Oh, the Clinton.
Signed together. This is a good piece.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd let go of that yet.
Well, let's see some of
Yeah.
your pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, let's look at some of these. I know that a couple of them are a little bit smaller.
So that one first part of that, I was gonna test, um, you know, if these people would look online, you know, that kind of stuff. So this guy is very interesting. He was Secretary of the Navy, and he served in the administration of John Tyler. And Upshur was killed on the cruise up the Potomac River on the USS Princeton, where they were testing a new cannon, and it exploded and killed him. Now I have an autograph of John Tyler and Abel Upshur on the same piece of paper, which we will see later.
Wow.
So,
1844.
he was born in 1790.
Wow.
And so, yeah, here's another one of those guys William Hunt, who was Secretary of the Navy in the Garfield administration, Minister of Russia, right? But he served in the Confederate Army during the Civil War.
Wow.
So,
So I know that, right now there's a lot of conversation about the reality of our own history. How much of that affects your collecting?
I don't think it all,
Okay.
because, we know who these people are.
Right.
That's George Badger, right? He was Secretary of the Navy in 1841 in the administration of William Henderson, whose presidency lasted 31 days.
Wow.
Oh, right.
Got pneumonia.
We died.
So,
Yep.
so that's kind of tough. And there again, who would know that? Who would select it? That's why I have faith. And then you can see the ink and the paper. That's, so
Yeah, absolutely.
I have no problem selling that, saying that I guarantee.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And his history is quite unique. So I think
Uh,
helps a lot.
historical figures are quite unique. Is that what drew you to them?
Yeah,
They-
but,
Look at something.
this guy.
Right.
So I shows a little more and see what else he was.
Yeah, right, right. Do you want to get
Yeah.
the ones in the cabinet?
Sure.
We can open the cabinet, and then we won't have so much glitter. So I'll be honest, I'm not much of a history buff. And I always share this little tidbit with my own students that I'm pretty sure my history teacher in high school gave me a passing grade so she'd never have to see me again. I never found history very interesting, but my stepfather was a history teacher. So I'll give a shout out to him, Jim Burns. He passed several years ago, but he actually really helped me appreciate our history more than any history teacher I ever had.
Right?
Yes, well, as a photographer,
He was pretty great.
yes, he was a really interesting character. There we go.
Right now, or was it?
Oh, there is a light. I think it's that switch right there. Yeah. I think that's it. Yes. Oh, beautiful. All right. So these are all the really interesting ones. I see you have Truman up there. Oh, and that's a signed photograph.
You have to watch photographs. So it's easy to put that. Take that photograph.
True.
So you have to write all the signature.
Okay. Right, to make sure it's a true impression.
Right. And
That makes really good sense.
with the appreciative value and stuff like that, if you put to Don, sincerely.
What? You don't hold?
Someone will show that my homework.
Right,
My name was Don.
right.
So one of my favorites is one right here,
Oh, Frank.
Frank Buffett.
Yeah, I did a little extra research on this gentleman after you mentioned he lived in
Last surviving veteran of World War
last surviving veteran. He lived to be 101,
I.
110.
In
That's amazing.
the New York War, he was survivor.
Yep.
In Fort Riley, Kansas, 1945.
some work.
The last one to die, that's America.
He was World War, I think, another war, was he not? Did I read that?
No,
Okay,
yeah, he was an
that's right.
So,
But I thought that was so fascinating that he lived to be so old.
yeah, here's John Tyler, right, talk about people up sure.
Yes.
So that's his signature underneath Tyler. Tyler was the 10th president. Yeah, there's two fascinating things about him. One, he was born, well, three, he was born in the 1790s, so last president of the government, you know, one that or the other. But I mean, Tyler, born in 1791, has a grandson about it,
Oh, yes, I get to read the notes.
right? So you get, I think he fathered his child at 68 or 72. That son fathered two sons, one which is black. In 1925, 1923. So there's one living.
Wow.
He's still alive. So. But, you know, so he was the president, but when the Civil War started, he switched sides. He became the leader of the Confederate Congress.
Hmm.
So, you know, in the end, he was a traitor. What could I say?
Right.
But nonetheless, you know, fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nobody ever heard this guy, but
Who's that?
he came close to being president.
All right, so we have to hold the doors. Get one. I just can't release finger button. There you go. Okay, watch your finger.
So this person is Lafayette Foster. Now, of course, nobody ever knew either. But he was the acting vice president of the United States upon the death of Lincoln, so, which means he was probably president of the Senate, so, and then a vice president. And then, of course, Andrew Johnson was impeached, right? But he survived that impeachment by one vote. If Johnson lost that impeachment and was impeached, Lafayette Foster becomes president of the United States, right? So he wound up with the nickname the New York President.
Nice.
But his father was a captain in the American Revolution, and he was a senator and a distinguished judge,
Nice.
and very close to becoming the pres.
Yeah.
And there's
2 votes away, right?
Amy Eisenhower, Pat Nixon, quite a collection of first ladies too. There's Gus Hall, Jarvis Tyner. Now they were perpetually, Gus Hall was anyway, perpetually the presidential nominee for the Communist Party in the United States. And you know, in the 70s, they were active. And, you know, he was on the ballot nationwide. And he got a couple 100,000 votes.
When did the Communist Party finally dissipate? Do we know?
You know what? I'm not sure he did.
Oh, sure.
There's a few believers that did.
Yes, there's always.
Vice president. That's the Here's an interesting letter.
Oops, we have to find it. I don't know why I closed it all the way.
Francis Hope from Cleveland. Who was, see again, executive mansion in Washington.
Oh,
On
right.
that letter. So I bought the whole thing which came with the envelope and stamp.
Are the females by happenstance, or do you try to collect them on purpose?
Well, no, if I get it,
Okay.
yeah, I have tried some. I collected on purpose. Yeah. See, roll with already is married. Yeah, that's executive mansion.
Oh, right.
That'd be a nice place for women's history Month
Mm-hmm.
to bring out your females.
Yeah, bring out the liquors.
Mhm.
Very nice.
was Horatio Seymour, right? Another guy, governor of New York, and the Democratic Party nominated for president. And he was defeated by Grant, but he was a big name in American politics that period. Horatio Seymour.
Wow.
Now,
That's like a photographic image of him, which would be relatively unusual, depending on when it was actually done. This photography wasn't really great.
I call it the Ewing connection up here. Walter Reeser, who was president of the United Auto and president of the CIO, Congress of Industrial Organization, before they were the AFL, the Federation of Labor. And, you know, you had the auto plant here in Ewing, and that was his numbers.
Nice.
American, he financed most of Martin Luther King's activities in the 19th century. He paid for a lot of his travel.
Wow. You love that it's on that postcard.
Bail bond.
Man, quite a few of these are for sale. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, this is in the main display. I'm just going to back away so people can actually see what we're looking at here. Right, this is for the display cabinet at the Ewing Municipal Building. And there's two pieces of paper here that offer descriptions of the individuals who are hanging in this cap. You'll notice on this one, Don's email is there should you have any questions, or if you're interested in purchasing one of them, that would be a great way to reach out to him. Now, before we say goodnight, is there any that we should definitely look at and talk about? Any that you're like, we don't want to leave this one out of the...
No. You know, now this piece here, I just came across in an envelope that I had.
Sorry, I'm super sweet.
Yeah, I have a lot of autographs I haven't signed yet. Billie Jean King.
Oh.
Yeah.
So not just political figures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Francis Cockrell, nobody ever heard of him, but he was a five-term governor of Missouri, brigadier general in the Confederate state, and he commanded a brigade at Vicksburg, where he was wounded, and he was very successful field commander for the Confederates. In 1905, he was appointed to the Interstate Commerce Commission by President Theodore Roosevelt. So, you know, these guys lasted a long time, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're talking Roosevelt, he was assassinated in 01.
Great.
So the war ended in 65, right? They're still around.
I wonder how old he was when that happened. It just makes me wonder. Yeah. Because I know, just in general, people didn't live as long as they do now. Of course, Frank Buckles is the exception to that rule.
Now, a lot of people may remember, older people remember Robert Wagner, the Wagner, which is, you know, the Magna Carta, the American people.
Oh, right.
You know, sets out the rules for liberty and, you know, negotiations and all that kind of stuff. And his father, Robert Wagner, who was a former mayor of New York City. So he was very close with FDR, and, you know, with the assistance of organized labor and really a placement from John Lewis of the mine workers, we finally got everything for labor relations out. Now, if you know this, that course in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, 40s, most households and businesses were running coal, right? And the railroads carried it. Now, John L. Lewis was the head of the miners, right? He could shut the country down, right? By telling the miners, we don't get a contract, stop digging, right? That being a powerful guy, and man, that made baseball bank,
Wow.
right? President of the United States, and that guy was
Gotta keep freaking.
but in reality,
Yeah.
he was powerful. And, same thing with the railroad unions. They called the strike, well, Congress, true today. We much better railroad strikes a few weeks ago.
Like with the bus boycotts,
Yeah.
the whole, union situation with that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, we owe, I think, middle class owes a debt of gratitude to Robert Wagner
Yeah.
for codifying the rules of engagement they were running.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
I don't think you get enough credit, but I give them credit.
Absolutely.
I remember.
One of my-
So
Yeah.
I
Well, the rules, one of
I
my-
have a lot of respect for the people who put in the hard work for me.
So do you ever get the opportunity to take these out to the schools where?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great, great.
Done the whole day in high school on the history of the labor.
Mhm.
Taught a couple classes at Rutgers on collective bargaining, the history of the labor movement, labor in film, labor in music,
That is awesome.
labor in labor,
Mhm. Mhm.
anything labor.
Yeah. That's great work.
So now I'm the head of the New Jersey AFL-CIO Union Veterans Council, which is made up of union veterans that are, the union. And we visit the veterans' homes all over New Jersey, buy them lunches, bring them baked goods, and we have big companies that are contributors like Jersey Mike.
All right.
Mhm.
They'll give us 5 more books, no charge.
That is great.
Yeah, there are lots of organizations, and I know Jersey Mike's is really well known actually for that.
Yeah, he's got some.
Committing,
Yeah.
their social content.
And
That's great.
it's helped us tremendously. Bimbo Bakeries,
Oh,
down there, I go there and, they're new violent soldiers and I SUV, open it up, lay the seats down and just bring me stuff.
That's
I
awesome.
can't stay out of the rearview mirror. I drive over to the soldiers home, we pass them out. And then we do, bring in an orchestra for the old veterans, music in the 40s and 50s for them. And then we do politics. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think that labor-friendly candidates elected to high office.
I agree about that. Well, Don, I really want to thank you
Oh, I love it.
for your time and for putting all this together and talking to us about all of it. I'm going to recommend that if you have not gotten down to the municipal building, that you get down so that you can see not just the ones we shared with you, but the rest of them, because there's an entire hallway full of interesting artifacts. Let's see. What am I forgetting, Bev?
I believe we covered everything.
Okay. I
Is
was
there any parting
any parting words?
words that you'd like to, anything you're going to leave us with?
If anybody is interested in preserving history, you should. If you have documents or autographs or any of that kind of stuff, don't throw it away. It's,
Now, if they're not able to hold on to, what's your recommendation of passing it along to someone who can?
yeah, I would take it to, public library
Mhm.
or the state library,
Mhm.
depending on what kind of document it is, who signed it, I'm sure they would preserve it.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
That's good. Yeah, that was a great question.
Great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight. And keep your eyes open on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or Facebook group. Sorry, it's not a page, it's a group. And Instagram for future sessions such as these. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night.
When I turn around